Welcome, my name is Naomi, and before we start, I want to give you a brief introduction to our Cancer Care Parcel and our talk today. Cancer Care Parcel was founded by Dr. Shara Cohen after her breast cancer diagnosis. Initially, the site aimed to help people understand how to support those with cancer, providing resources and articles in the cancer community. The company also offered thoughtful, medically sound gifts. Over the past 7 years, we noticed that most visitors to the site were people with cancer seeking information. So we've adapted. Though we're officially a limited company, we operate like a charity, using our small income to produce resources for the international cancer community. Please check our site. I'll put the link in the chat now. Workshops like this one are one of the services we provide. While we charge a small fee to cover costs, most people attend for free. We do ask for donations to support our work. If you know anyone who can donate, please share this link, which I'll also put in the chat. Every donation helps us create and distribute free cancer care parcels to individuals facing cancer. Today's speaker is Emma, a registered nutritional therapist, functional medicine practitioner, and experienced chef specializing in cancer patient care. She is also an oncology nutrition consultant and the lead breast cancer nutrition specialist at Synthesis Clinic, an award-winning integrative medicine and precision health practice. Emma is well equipped to lead this meeting, and we look forward to her insights. Please do ask any questions along the way in the chat, in which we will be moderating and will ask to Emma at the end of the talk. We hope you enjoy the workshop. Over to you, Emma.
Hi, everyone. Lovely to meet you all, and I hope that you can see the slides. Is that okay? So I'm going to talk today about gut health and how we can support ourselves, particularly during treatment. So the microbiome, which is the biome starts in our mouth and goes right down through our stomach and our colon. We like to think of the microbiome as a small, incredibly complex forest. It has many, many functions. It's required for the absorption and synthesis of many vitamins, but including our B vitamins, particularly B12 and folate. So this is generated from dietary forms of folate, and vitamin K, fiber and lactose, and many more. It's very important for our immune system. It regulates the entire immune system. So changing a mix of bacteria in our gut can reduce the number of coughs and colds we get, as well as the impact of a range of allergenic and autoimmune diseases. It's also involved in hormone metabolism. The biome takes bits of food our body cannot digest and converts them into hormones and other chemicals. And it's important to modulate inflammation. Inflammation can be triggered by the wrong types of foods, too many sugars, processed foods, sweeteners, etc., which we'll talk about more later. So it's very much influences the metabolism, food and pharmaceuticals. Treatment, chemotherapy can be very damaging to our microbiome. So it's very important for us to think about how we can support it. And it's largely impacted by our diet. So there's lots that we can do to help ourselves. Fiber plays a very key role, and there have been some fantastic studies recently. One that Dr. Nina Fuller-Chevelle and Dr. Jonathan Krell have written this year about the importance that fiber plays in the success of chemoimmunotherapy. So with immunotherapy treatment, fiber has been shown to be a very important part of supporting effective treatment. So with gut diversity, we want to think about the fact that low diversity, diversity means the sort of levels of good bacteria in our gut. So when it's low and we have imbalances in our gut flora, that is linked to gastrointestinal and metabolic disorders. For example, things like good bacteria in the gut can help lower cholesterol and risk heart disease. Also, the biome helps control our blood sugar balance. So if our diversity is low, our blood sugar can go up. So what we choose to eat daily has a very profound effect on our gut flora. About 75% of the food in the Western diet is of limited or no benefit to the microbiota because it is full of inflammatory, what we call industrial seed oils, which we'll talk about more, saturated fats, high in sugars, and low in really good fiber, which plays a very key role. We need to focus more on adding in these colourful fruits and vegetables. Foods like oily fish are very important. But we like to think about 3 key areas. It's really 3 Ps. So we think about prebiotics, probiotics, and polyphenols as being very important to support a good and healthy microbiome. So prebiotics really are very important. This is really fiber. Prebiotics are fermented in the GI tract by a bacteria in the colon. So in the colon, we have these very important short-chain fatty acids, which are the result of fermented fiber. And they modulate mucosal and immune response, and they modulate inflammation as well. So these bacteria stimulate the intestinal flora and metabolic activity. So we know that prebiotics, if you think about fertilizing a lawn, prebiotics are like the fertilizer. So by eating them, we are feeding the bacteria. So that is the most important thing to do. And as I mentioned, it's been shown these prebiotic fiber-rich foods are very important in treatment outcomes. So things like bifidobacteria and lactobacilli, which are important bacteria in the gut, are fed by prebiotics. There's also another important bacteria called Akkermansia, which helps to maintain the mucosal lining of our large intestine and regulate gut bacteria function. For many people who are low in Akkermansia, you can see when you study people who struggle to lose weight and have blood sugar imbalances, they'll often be very low in this bacteria. So fiber intake has reduced over time with changes in our diet. So the Western diet is low in fiber. So we do need to think about aiming for 30 grams of fiber a day, which is actually very easy to do when you start to bring in colourful fruit and vegetables, seeds, nuts, and whole grains. So here are some examples of prebiotic rich foods. Foods like artichoke are brilliant. Beetroot. Now, flax seeds are excellent as well. They're full of great fats. They've got protein in them, fiber. Freshly ground is very important with our flax seeds. So grinding them weekly rather than buying them pre-ground because they've been oxidized and sat on a warm shelf that way. Chia seeds are a really good source of fiber. Underripe bananas are prebiotic rich foods. And garlic is great. Apple's very soothing for the gut, particularly cooked because it's rich in pectin as well. Berries are prebiotics. And then for some who can tolerate beans are fantastic, but sometimes when you're going through treatment, they're harder to digest. Avocado is another great one, and rye bread, chicory, onions, and leeks. So onion, leeks, garlic, if you can use those as a base for dishes, you're getting lots of prebiotics into your food. So these foods are great to include. There's one type of prebiotic food called resistant starch. This is created resistant starch. Basically, what happens is that fiber that passes through the colon without being broken down and absorbed by the body helps you short chain fatty acids. And that's where we have these valuable source of nutrients from our good bacteria. And resistant starch is linked to reduced gut inflammation, also increasing fecal weight and helping to treat and prevent constipation, which can often be a problem during treatment. they're less digestible and better for the microbiome after being cooked and cooled. So what's interesting about resistant starch is that the cooling process of rehydration causes the starch to thicken and set, making the fiber more resistant. So it means that the fiber can go down undigested into the colon where it is needed to make these short chain fatty acids. So starchy vegetables, what we think about is our beetroots, carrots and squash, potatoes. So for example, if you're cooking new potatoes, if you cool them and have them, heat them up the next day, or have them cold, and you could have them in a salad, or then you're going to get more resistant starch. If you are having, say, a piece of sourdough bread, you're better off freezing the slices and then bringing them out from the freezer and then using the bread, and you will have more resistant starch. Another example is rice. So rice cooled and cooked again or eaten again in a salad has more resistant starch. So we think about starchy vegetables. So cooking a lovely tray bake of starchy vegetables, leaving it to cool and having it the next day will give you more resistant starch. And things like lentils are great, cooked and cooled and then eaten the next day. So we think about probiotics next. Now, these are actually the bacteria. So the prebiotics are feeding everything that we've got in our microbiome, and that's where we really want to start. They're very, very safe to have during all treatment, and we have to really think about looking after the bacteria that we have in the gut. Probiotics help replenish good bacteria. They are the bacteria, and they come in fermented forms of food. So, and again, back to probiotics, a bit more controversial during treatment as a supplement because they're still a bacteria. And if we have low white blood cells, we want to be very careful about having probiotics, but food is safe. So it's always a good idea to think food first. If we keep that bacteria strong and replenished, the gut then works better to digest food and convert nutrients and vitamins into the forms that we want. So say like vitamin K has to be converted in the gut. We want to keep that strong so that we've got these vitamins and B12. So it's vital for immune health, and again, helps to lower inflammation. It's also very important to increase the absorption of minerals as well. So calcium, iron and magnesium all are in the microbiome is involved with their absorption. It helps to improve peristalsis and normal bowel transit time, and is also as well important to help prevent diarrhea. So we've talked about how hormones are involved, well, the gut helps hormones, but probiotics help to recycle and metabolize hormones such as estrogen. And actually, when we think about hormones like estrogen, there is an enzyme called beta-glucuronidase in the gut that will recycle the toxic estrogen. So looking after the gut and making sure that enzyme is nicely balanced is very important for our hormone metabolism. And it generally balances metabolism as well. So probiotic rich foods are things like kefir. So you can get coconut kefir, or you can buy normal cow's kefir. Try and opt for organic where you can. Foods like kimchi rice is nice. Kombuchas. Now, when you're choosing kombuchas, you want to make sure that the sugar content is low in them, because a good kombucha will be under 3% of carbohydrates, but just watch for added sugars in some of these products. So make sure that you look at that. Miso is a fantastic, it's fermented soya, and it's great to flavor soups, stews. You can make a lovely dressing. I've got a recipe for you later. Natto is also fermented form of soya, sorry, and olives are great. Apple cider vinegar is also very good, and then things like sauerkraut. But look for, good quality fermented foods, sauerkraut, kimchi. Look for the ones in the fridge section. There's some really lovely products now. Live yogurt as well, organic live yogurt, and cheese. things like Roquefort is a very good probiotic cheese. Any fermented vegetables, and I mentioned earlier, coconut or coconut kefir is very good. A good quality cottage cheese, and a traditionally made sourdough, so traditionally made with just the 3 ingredients, and you can get lots of lovely sourdoughs, but just again look at the back and see what's been added. So our third type of plant foods are called polyphenols, and these polyphenols are natural plant compounds found in a variety of foods, such as vegetables, fruits, tea, coffee, chocolate, and in red wine. Not that I've been encouraging lots of red wine, but red wine does have polyphenols in it, has resveratrol. And they have been very well studied for their antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. And in many of the studies that they've done in breast cancer, they've shown that that polyphenols have played a very key role in supporting through treatment. So polyphenols are metabolized by the microbiota in the colon, and they have a prebiotic effect, so that they help the growth of specific bacteria. They're very important to support microbial balance by inhibiting pathogenic species. So things like E. coli, which can, and Clostridium difficile, that can often be picked up during treatment in hospitals. The stronger the microbial balance is, will keep that at bay. So when we look at the most richest sources of polyphenols, you can see that herbs and spices play a very key role. Herbs and spices are incredibly good for gut health. So when we think about things like oregano is wonderful for supporting the stomach. It's very antimicrobial. It's very good at, if you've got any sort of anything that's out, or any parasites or anything like that, oregano can really knock those out. So trying to include herbs and spices as much as you can in your diet. In fact, you know, every day adding, so rosemary, thyme, oregano, parsley is another great one. They, you know, just making up a nice mix of organic dried herbs and liberally adding them to your cooking, and adding fresh herbs as well. In fact, making nice fresh herbal teas is a great way to get herbs in. And actually things like lemon balm, oregano, they're all lovely. So think about where you could get herbs, fresh, frozen or dried, into your day. Very easy just to chop up some fresh parsley if you're having an omelette, or adding them through a salad, or sprinkling them onto soups. If you're roasting a chicken, you could do a lovely mix of these herbs, but they are very, very rich in polyphenols. So we can see the importance of them. Raw cacao as well. So cocoa powder, chocolate is a very good polyphenol. So some good quality dark chocolate is a good thing to have. So enjoy it. Berries also are very important. So try a variety of different berries in season. We've got blueberries here, we've got elderberry, blackberries. So berry powders are also a wonderful thing to try and add into your day. If you are struggling to get a good variety, you can buy some lovely organic mixed berry powders, which a teaspoon stirred in through your yogurt or added to a smoothie can be very, very helpful to boost polyphenols. And the bacteria Akkermansia that I mentioned earlier is very much fed by berries. So other thing as well is flaxseed. I've mentioned before, but freshly ground flaxseed is a good source of polyphenols. And yeah, have your mint teas, peppermint, spearmint. Rosemary is also fantastic, and olives are great. And then we talk about our nuts and seeds. Capers are very they've got quercetin in, which is an important polyphenol, and easy to chop up into tomato sauces or added into dressings. But you know, these little sort of additions make a difference. So these are our top polyphenol rich foods. So you can see a good variety in there, and you can see I've talked about our berries and our artichoke already. Tea is also polyphenol, so good quality teas. Green tea is an excellent for gut health as well. So all the varieties of teas, and coffee is also polyphenol. So make sure that you're getting your coffee organically. Try and have coffee after a meal rather than on an empty stomach, but it is supportive for the gut. So try and make up a sort of container of raw nuts and seeds. You can see here that there are lots of nuts in here. We've got pecan nuts, I know are great, walnuts, all of the nuts are very good. And then we've got other fruits like pears and apricots. Asparagus is a wonderful prebiotic and a polyphenol rich food, slightly out of season now. But, you know, look at this list, and if you can find things in season, even better. So there's a good variety of foods here that we can choose from. And basically, ways to sort of increase polyphenol intake is thinking about upping colour. So if we have an array of brightly coloured plant foods, we'll be exposed to a good mixture of polyphenols. So think about different colours and varieties. You know, if you're having a spring cabbage, you could have a red cabbage. You know, you can even get lovely purple cauliflowers. So same with apples, different types of apples, red onions, spring onions. Have a good variety because they've all got different properties in them and different phytonutrients. So we want to consider that synergistic effect of a polyphenol-rich diet. And I will talk in a minute more about exercise, but regular exercise for gut health is very important too. So we can sort of put everything together. Eating foods that are rich in colours, blues, purples and reds will be full of polyphenols. So in the morning, if you're having your oats or you're having some yogurt or kefir, have some dark coloured berries, maybe buy a really nice organic berry powder that you could stir through that, put some nuts and seeds on it. If you could if you could mix in a tablespoon of freshly ground flax seeds, that would be fantastic. Say with cabbages, you know, try purple, make a coleslaw. Don't stick to the same foods. It's important to try and mix them. Enjoy a green tea. Now, when you're making green tea, it contains an important antioxidant called EGCG. But if you add boiling water to it, you'll damage all of that, and you will also make it taste bitter. So choose a lovely loose green tea. Say like Centure's a very nice one. And if you boil your water, add it to your pot or your cup and leave it. In theory, it should be 80 degrees. So just leave it for 5 minutes just to cool off, but don't put boiling water onto green tea because you'll lose a lot of the health benefits. Matcha green tea powder is also great. Can add that into a berry smoothie or make a matcha latte. So when we think about nutritional guidelines, we're wanting to really focus on this anti-inflammatory high phytonutrient diet. These foods are very medicinal for us, and they're going to be looking after that microbiome that I've explained is so important to take care of. So we want to have, you know, thinking about 3 colours at each meal is very important. So predominantly our vegetables. We would want to be thinking about the cruciferous family, which are our cauliflower, our broccoli, our kale, radishes, watercress, rocket. They're full of folate and very, very supportive for the liver and gut. Low sugar fruits like berries, apples, pears, pomegranates are also fantastic and very, very good. Another powder, Ariona berry powder, has been shown to really raise akkermansia. So, you know, these berries and colourful fruits are very good. So think about adding in, you know, when you're having a banana, think about having it underripe, not overripe, because you're going to get more prebiotic effects from that. So we want a wide variety of vegetable-derived fibres. Fibre, as I mentioned before, very, very important. So looking at 7 to 10 portions of rainbow veg daily, but that's very easy to do, because if you're having, say, like an omelette, if you were having, say, an omelette, you could throw some herbs into it. You could then have some mushrooms, spinach and tomatoes sauteed on the side, and you've got one herb and 3 different colours in. Yeah, as I say, drinking herbs is also important. So don't forget the herbs in this, these nutritional guidelines. They're easily forgotten, but very, very easy to incorporate and add lots and lots of flavour. Ginger, turmeric, cumin, coriander are all really, really lovely flavoured spices. So herbs and spices play a key role. And we're really wanting to think about, to support diversity, trying to focus on 30 plus plants. Now, these can include nuts and seeds and spices and herbs, and also legumes, so beans, lentils, all those kind of things as well. So all the plant foods. Think about trying to reduce dietary, what we call anti-nutrients, which are going to be negative for our microbiome. So high sugar foods, sugar does trigger the gut bacteria to break down. It causes inflammation, and sugar intake will block our immune system for about 4 hours afterwards. So it's important to think about what you're eating around treatment, and just trying to think about how you can pack as many nutrients as possible, and maybe involves, try and avoid some of these anti-nutrients like high animal derived saturated fats. Opt for your monounsaturated and your polyunsaturated fats like olives, olive oil, avocado and avocado oil, and then all our lovely nuts and seeds, and oily fish like salmon and sardine, anchovies, are all very, very good. And then trans fats, which are found in processed foods. So biscuits and snacks, all those kind of things might have some trans fats. Optimize your overall microbiome balance. So I mentioned about Ariona berry and pomegranate and resistant starch, and I'll talk a bit about fasting in a minute. So, and up the fiber. By adding this colour, you're going to just automatically be upping your fiber. So general strategies to think about. It's important to sit down. When you're eating food, you want it to be digested properly. So if you're in sort of fight or flight mode, and you're rushing around and you're stressed and you're not actually taking time to eat that meal, you will not digest it properly, and your stomach will not be able to absorb everything that it needs from the food. So sit down for your meals and chew your food really thoroughly. Just enjoy that time eating your meal. Think about lowering your stress levels. Staying calm does soothe the gut and reduces levels of hormones such as cortisol. When we're in that fight or flight mode, our gut doesn't work very well. If you're in a heightened stress response, you will find that, you'd be in fight or flight, you wouldn't be able to digest food properly. And that's why a lot of stomach problems can come from when we're feeling very stressed. We know that some of the most exciting areas of current biome research is how they affect our brain, known as psychobiotics. So we know that there's a strong link between the brain and the gut. So how we're feeling will impact how we digest our food. Improve your sleep. It's important to make sure that we're having good rest and good sleep in order for our biome to restore at night. So a lot of repair happens at night. It's a good idea not to eat too late. So you want to have a good 3 to 4 hours before bed, so that your body has digested the food, ready for a good night's sleep. Thinking about fasting can also support our gut microbiome. So having a good overnight fast will give your gut a rest, allowing the lining to regenerate and good bacteria to grow. Get outside and exercise. I mentioned before there have been some really interesting studies, and they did a study on a sort of a rugby team showing how diverse their bacteria was because of the amount of exercise they're doing. So natural light will switch off melatonin, which is our sleep hormone, waking us up for the day, and will help that circadian rhythm. So go for a walk after breakfast, get outside, do some exercise. All of that will support good sleep and a healthy microbiome. So here's just a couple of recipes. Sauerkraut salad, you can get lovely very, very easy sort of probiotic, which foods some apple, a bit of red onion and some olive oil, very, very simple salad. And then a miso dressing, I mentioned about miso, which has got lovely flavour. You could this is lovely to drizzle and have as a dressing or as a dip for fresh vegetables. So if we could, put that, but just adding all these extra things will make a big difference. It's more about what you put in than what you take away. So I hope that was helpful. I'll stop sharing. And questions. Do you want me just to go ahead with the questions and have a look at them?
No, that was great. Thank you. I can feed the questions. You had loads of questions. So yes, I think we can start. Lots and lots of questions. We'll start with Janelle, who says, I had ovarian cancer for 14 years with many chemo treatments. Part of my journey has included a Whipple's procedure. I've had diarrhea almost constantly for 3 years. I've had trouble with losing weight. So have you got any comments on that?
Yeah, I know that Whipple procedure is very difficult because, then with the pancreas, but with diarrhea, it is very important to think about, supporting. Have you ever used things like psyllium husk?
I don't know if is Janelle still. I can't. Oh yeah. Don't know if you want to answer, Janelle, but yeah. No. No is the answer.
Okay. Basically, with psyllium husk is very supportive because it absorbs excess fluid in the colon and can help support diarrhea. So you can take psyllium husk with water, 5 grams taken 3 times daily. Fibre is recommended to help diarrhea, but it must be the right type of fibre. So things like coconut flour is a rich source of fibre that can be helpful. Soluble fibre found in foods like ground flax seeds, chia seeds, oats, and cooked root vegetables can help. But insoluble fibre, found in leafy greens, celery, fruit, and beans, could be more irritating. So I'd have caution with those. I'd also avoid raw vegetables and avoid dairy products because dairy can be irritating, and possibly gluten too. So, if you've got bad diarrhea, a little bit of brown rice, some stewed apples are very good because cooked apples have got pectin. Probiotic foods like dairy-free coconut yogurt and miso soup are good. But remember, protein is important for the repair of your gut lining. So having some good quality protein like some fish, chicken, nuts or eggs can help. And then again, going back to those herbs I mentioned, aim for a daily consumption of rosemary, oregano and thyme. And also when you have got diarrhea, make sure you stay hydrated. Electrolytes play a key role. So even looking at some, really good electrolytes which don't have any added sugars are very important, and coconut water is actually a very good natural electrolyte. So just keep hydrated, drink plenty of clear liquids, miso soup as I mentioned before, and electrolytes.
Okay. And then I'm going to just go through the questions because a lot. I hope that's answered your question, Janelle. But please, everybody, if you want to put things in the chat or put your hand up, and I can unmute you, and you can speak if you don't want to type it out. So the next question is, how can I test my gut? Are there charlatans who I should avoid? How do I know the right person? And also, how do I cook and cool pastas, because they can go globby when they're left, I think is the question. So there's 2 questions.
So yeah, testing is very important to do. There are good companies. I mean, what I would say is go to a BANT registered nutritional therapist. If you go onto the BANT, British Association Nutritional Therapists website, you will find registered nutritional therapists, and you can look for someone there. There are companies that are very good. In Vivo is a very good company, but we've got Genova, we've got various different guts companies that would do fantastic testing, but you would have to do it through a practitioner because you'd need someone to interpret it for you because they're quite complicated. So they tell you huge amounts of fantastic information, like every single bacteria, which one you're low in, which one you need more of, which of these opportunistic bacteria are dominant, have you got any parasites, worms, everything. But you wouldn't probably be able to understand it. You'd have to have it interpreted for you. So you could talk to the companies and see if they have people. In Vivo, I would say, is a very good start. It's a good company in London, and they'd probably guide you.
Okay. And then Naomi asks a really good question, actually. Is it important to choose organic food over non-organic, and why? Why is it important to choose organic?
So when you're thinking about organic food, I don't know if you know Pan UK, which is it has a list called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. So it's an environmental. So if you want guidance on when to choose organically, go and look at the Pan UK, the Dirty Dozen food list, and what it shows you is the most chemically sprayed foods. So it's a very good guide. Berries, unfortunately, at the top of that list, because you think about strawberries, you'll see men in white suits, won't you, spraying them because they do ruin quite easily. Berries are fragile. But that list is very, very helpful because if you want to make wise choices, I would start there because they've got the most pesticides. With animal protein, it's very important to buy quality because of the antibiotics used. Toxins store in fat. So when you've got animal saturated fat, they're going to be high in toxins. So if it's a nice grass-fed piece of meat or a good quality chicken, it's going to, well, particularly with fat-centered meat, but it's the food chain, how that animal is produced. But definitely look at the Pan UK.
I found that website. I've put it in the chat. It's pan-uk.org.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks.
You can learn quite a lot of stuff from Pan UK about pesticides, everything. It's a lot of information, helpful information.
Thank you. And also, I've got a question. I find that when I don't overeat, I can poo better. Does that make sense?
I think well, everyone's different. That's the only thing I can say on that one. But and also we all, some people can cope with probiotic food, some people can't. If you've had quite a lot of treatment, it's better to start with prebiotics than throw in lots of legumes and beans because that can make you feel quite bloated. So I think we're all just very different. We're all made up differently.
And Lizzie said thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's nice.
And and then we've got a question. What about rice? Oh, I think this relates to the other question as well with the pasta. What about rice? I read that you should not reheat cooked rice. Is that true?
So rice definitely needs to be, so you can absolutely cool it down and use it again, but it's how long it sits around being hot. So if you go to like a Chinese or an Indian restaurant, you might often get an upset stomach because the rice has been sitting in those bain-maries for quite a long time and has not been cooled down. So when you cook rice at home, you want to cook it, you want to cool it in a bowl, and within an hour and a half, you want it in the fridge, cooled and in the fridge. And it can last for about 5 days then. Oh. It's just the heat that causes the problem, keeping it warm.
And actually, can I add to that? Is it all right to reheat it after you've cooled it down?
Yes. So once it's in the fridge and you've cooled it down, you can use it for the next 4 days, and a stir fry. You could add it into a stir fry. Right. So yeah,
as long as you've cooled it down appropriately.
Within an hour and a half, yeah. It's all about not leaving it on the side warm for too long. That's where the bacteria, and that's where problems can occur.
Right. Okay, that's good to know. And then I've got a bit of a technical question from Belen, I think. Is there anything recommended to lower HER2, ERB-B2 oncogene, human epidermal growth factor 2? This is the driver of her cancer. It's not hormonal.
So she's got HER2 cancer.
HER2.
Yeah. So there's been some very interesting studies with her. So I could probably do a whole lecture. I could do another 40 minutes on her too. But basically, some really good studies have shown that the addition of polyphenols in the diet has been very, very protective. So we look at certain different polyphenols in this study, and I can share the study actually. I can just get up. So yeah, dietary polyphenols shown in studies to modulate HER2 positive breast cancer signal molecules with the potential reduction of tumor growth, metastatic potential, and helping to restore chemosensitivity in HER2 breast cancer cells. So we're looking at in this study EGCG, which is green tea and matcha. I mean, I can share some notes on this. Camphorol, which are green leafy veg, including spinach and kale. But then these herbs that I talk about a lot, dill, chives, tarragon. And then sulforaphane, which are in the cruciferous vegetables, like broccoli sprouts, cauliflower. And quercetin, which is capers, onions, berries, teas, and apigenin, which is again parsley, chamomile. So the foods I've kind of talked about, and resveratrol, which are dark grapes, blueberries, bilberries, and cranberries, in studies have been shown to be very important. So focusing on those polyphenols in your diet, 30 diverse plants a week, you know, you'll get your polyphenols in.
Okay, I've missed some questions out, I realise, so I'm going back to, and this I think relates to your last one, was what if I have estrogen positive cancer? Are probiotics still okay if they help estrogen?
No, so what they're doing is they're helping clear estrogen. So a good gut. So basically, when we estrogen is metabolized through the liver in 3 different pathways. One is safer than the other 2. So all the work's done in the liver, but when the liver's done its job well, and that actually requires certain foods, so things like good quality protein or cruciferous vegetables are very important, turmeric, etc. When it goes into the gut, I mentioned about this enzyme called beta-glucuronidase. Now, if that's something you can read in the stool test, what's going on there. So if you've done this great detoxifying through the liver of your estrogens, and then it goes into your gut, we want it to go out. The whole point is it's meant to be detoxifying. So we want to, one, not be constipated. We want to have very good gut health. Also liver and bile because of urine as well. But when it goes into the gut, if this beta-glucuronidase is too high, it will unhook the toxic estrogens that the liver's done all that great work with and take them back up and recycle them. And that's when we have problems. So probiotics are fantastic for gut health, as are polyphenols and prebiotics, and they will support healthy balance of this enzyme beta-glucuronidase and safe detoxification of estrogen. So they are very important.
Okay. And what about decaf coffee? Does that also have polyphenols?
If you get, when you're buying decaffeinated coffee, you want to buy Swiss water filtered decaffeinated coffee. So it hasn't had the chemical process through it. So there are some lovely and organic coffees like Exhale is a very nice one. Grumpy Mule is another one. There's a few really nice coffees that you can get, but look for Swiss water filtered.
So not all organic ones will be okay. It has to be Swiss water filtered.
No, a decaf. You want the decaf to be Swiss water filtered, so that's how they make the decaf safe and it still has the benefits. So if you're looking at like a normal coffee, just a nice organic coffee, just buy. But if you're buying decaf, buy Swiss water filtered decaffeinated coffee because that's been properly decaffeinated safely without the use of chemicals. And therefore will be better for you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for that, because I drink decaf, so that's good to know. I didn't know that at all.
Look at, yeah, there's some really nice ones out there that are, you know, Swiss water filtered.
Okay. And then I'm going to speed up because there's so many questions, which is great. But also, if you have more questions, please put them in the chat or put your hand up and we can unmute you. So what is the difference when talking about gut and general nutrition? And indeed, is there a difference?
Well, basically, the gut, obviously, general nutrition is still it's important in the same way. But the reason I'm talking about it more here is that we know that treatment will impact our gut health more, so therefore we have a bigger focus. I mean, all the time, whole foods, all the foods I'm talking about are important for us all. So treatment and beyond, we always want to make sure that the gut is the center of our immune system. And as I said, it, you know, it controls the way we feel. It's got serotonin, our happy hormone, is in the gut. So it's generally important for us all, but particularly important during treatment.
Okay, so Lizzie, thank you for this question. Will I get a copy of the slides after the presentation? That's a very good question. So if you sign up for our newsletter, and you should have got, when you sign up for the event, you should have got an email to say sign up for the newsletter. There will be a link to the recording. So you won't get the slides, but there's a link to this whole recording now, and also the recording will be on our website forever. The difference between the recording and the live event is when you come to the live event, you can ask questions and be part of it. But we do have, if you look on the website, it's called on-demand webinars. If you look at that section, but it will be in the newsletter. So please sign up to the newsletter, because it will also tell you about our next events as well. So we have another question about fresh and frozen vegetables. I'm confused about fresh and frozen vegetables. Some people say fresh is best, but other people say frozen keeps in all the nutrients. So what is your opinion on this?
Frozen are excellent. It's an excellent shortcut. Yes, you are right that antioxidants can be frozen at source. Also, when you buy frozen vegetables, they're frozen at the right time of year. So I would really highly recommend that you get frozen organic berries as opposed to unorganic fresh berries, which are never going to go off because they're so sprayed. You can see they sit in your fridge for far too long, and they still don't look like they've gone mouldy. So I think there's a really good place for fresh and frozen, but don't be frozen's great, but just buy. There's a company called Pact, PACK''D, that have wonderful frozen. I can put it here. Oh, sorry, I'm not even spelling properly now. There. Packed, and they have really great organic. They've got everything. So, you know, yeah, definitely it's much better to have the organic frozen berries in the freezer, get them out, than have them unorganic. So I do think you can get really good frozen vegetables. I think it's a really good shortcut. But fresh is also great.
So I'm just going to read that out for the people who are watching the recording. They won't see the chat.
There's some very nice smoothie mixes in there. Lovely smoothie packs.
I'm on their website now, actually.
Yeah, lots of good things quite easily for you to just make up a smoothie. Yeah,
they look great. So the website is packd.co.uk. So that's for the people in the UK who are watching this. So, okay, lovely. So could you please put in the link for the article about HER2 and polyphenols? And
yes,
when you do that,
quickly. Yeah, I'll have a dig out. I might have to Google. I mean, I'll have to try and copy and paste it in, see, because I've got it was done in 2020. Let's see. There's some other great ones here. In HER2, a study on HER2 patients showed lower diversity and abundance had less likelihood of such a good pathological response. And that was a 21 study as well. So quite interesting. They've done quite a lot of interesting studies. Oh yes, I found it.
Okay, and I'll just read that out for people who are watching the recording when you've put it in.
Yeah, here we are. I think this is the right one. So let's have a go back. That's probably not going to work, is it? Unless you can get that link.
Right, it's a ScienceDirect.com.
I could probably get it in a different way, but if I put the name,
yes.
So if I just put the name and the, you might be able to Google it. I think.
So the name is Effective Polyphenols on HER2.
Oh, she's got it.
You've got it. I'm going to read it out anyway for the people who are watching. Effect of polyphenols on HER2 positive breast cancer and related mRNAs, epigenomic regulation.
Yeah, there's a few good studies on HER2.
Okay, so we've got a few more questions, but I'm going to go to Zdravka, who has her hand up, and I'll ask you to unmute if you want to speak your question. And
yes, I actually going through the menopause, the medically-induced menopause, and I was prescribed an antidepressant from my GP. So I'm just wondering how the antidepressant are affecting my, I don't know, gut microbiome. I'm not very happy, but I think that's the only possibility for breast cancer, radio estrogen positive cancer. They just prescribe very easily antidepressant for the hot flushes. I don't know.
Oh yes, I know which one. Are you on venlafaxine?
Yes, I'm on that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Twice a day. Yes.
All
I'm
you
taking
can
twice a
do
day.
basically is work to support. Obviously, antidepressants can affect the gut microbiome, but the more you eat well with the foods that I've been talking about and adding them into your diet, you're going to be supporting the gut microbiome to actually naturally produce its own serotonin and protect against. I mean, all medications can have an impact on the microbiome. So there are quite a lot of studies on also look at acupuncture as well. It's very good for hot flushes. I know you've got your venlafaxine now, but there are some other good alternatives and very good research on them.
Yes, I've been doing, to be honest, I've been doing acupuncture, but with not very good effect. I don't know why. For the hot flushes, I've been struggling quite a lot because I'm having these kind of injections as well to keep me in the menopause. So they actually really,
Solidex.
Increase the symptoms a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, as I say, just look after the gut, because it will just basically keeping that supported will help, and to see how you get on with them, and you may only have to have them short term.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. That's absolutely perfect, because we've got enough right at the end of our time, and that was amazingly informative. Thank you so much.